Hi, and welcome to the 1995 Sega Schools Marketing Project. Let's take a closer look at what's been happening.
Have you noticed that it seems that barely a week can go by without someone asking the following question? Why hasn't Sega announced a new Sonic game yet? I've seen it phrased in a different way, such as why hasn't there been any substantial Sonic news, or why is Sega being so quiet with regards to Sonic? But I'm pretty sure that when you get to the heart of the matter, it's about the lack of Sonic video games to play. That's what all of this pretty much boils down to, and if you look at the last few releases, you can understand why it feels like there's been a lack of games in the last few years. Both Sonic Mania and Sonic Forces came out in 2017. The only other major Sonic game was the spin-off title Team Sonic Racing in 2019. Other than some mobile updates, that's all we've had. So with Sonic's 30th anniversary celebrations beginning, I'd like to actually address this question. My intention of this video isn't to criticise anyone who has been vocal or even tried to stoke some kind of artificial outrage at a lack of game news. It's more to actually take the question itself and address it in a way. Because on its own, I think it's a very valid question and it deserves a decent attempt at answering it outside of a Discord or a Twitter hot take. And whilst my focus is going to mainly be on Sega and the Sonic brand, I'm firmly in the belief that you can apply this to lots of other games and various franchises as well. So I'm going to give actual facts and examples to support my statements here as I try to address this question. And with that, why haven't Sega announced a new Sonic game yet? Well, the most direct answer to that is, they're just not ready to announce one yet. Oh, what, more? You want more? Okay, so first of all, let's address the big scary elephant in the room. Whenever someone does ask this question, a few people fire back with global pandemic, COVID-19! And yes, those things have indeed had an impact on Sega's announcements, but not in the way that I think the majority of people seem to believe it is. So I'll address the COVID-19 situation at this timestamp, but I want to get across a few other facts and details first. We're specifically talking about Sonic the Hedgehog, and regardless as to how many epic jokes you want to make about it, it's a popular franchise which also has very wide global appeal. It's on a similar level to that of Mario, Crash, Zelda, Metal Gear, Little Big Planet, and even Resident Evil.
What? What is this? Hope this is not Chris's blood.
In terms of brand recognition and popularity. Oh yes, I'm sure that we can argue that some of those are way more popular than the other, but what I'm trying to convey here is, if I show you these characters, you probably know what games they're from, whereas if I show you these, you're likely gonna struggle. Each of those franchises share several aspects in common with one another, the main ones being brand recognition and market appeal. As a result, they will all receive a very carefully managed marketing campaign whenever a new title is being released. Again, you can make some very easy jokes here, but be it Sega, Sony, Nintendo or Capcom, if they have a game in development for a major franchise, you can bet that their marketing departments will be working on a campaign long before it's even ready to be announced to the public.
Wait for it!
Sega especially have had years of experience with announcing and promoting different games. Their marketing department is very experienced and they'll be working on not only producing a campaign to promote in-house, but also hiring partners and other companies to help promote the title in question. Let me elaborate on this one point with a very small example. How many times have you seen a game announcement trailer end like this?
Pre-order now.
Augment your pre-order.
Pre-order now and get a free limited edition poster.
Oh my god!
Pre-order now. Imagine for a second you saw a trailer for a new video game. It got you really excited and it finished with the words, pre-order now. And absolutely no retailers or digital storefronts had it up for pre-order. As a fan of the title, you're gonna be quite frustrated and pretty annoyed, but also for the developer and the publisher, this would be a disaster. In that moment of impulse buy, you'd have people who wouldn't be able to order the game. Some of those will never order the game, and thus you've lost some pretty easy sales. Now, the issue as to if we, the customer, is it a good idea to pre-order
Pre-order now.
Pre-order right there and then on the basis of one trailer, that's a completely separate argument. The fact remains, if you end a trailer with
Pre-order now and get a free limited edition poster.
and as the publisher and developer, you've not worked with retailers such as Walmart, Game, or the Steam and PlayStation Store to have a listing up and ready when you release that trailer, you will lose sales. And sometimes this does go a little bit wrong. Who remembers when Walmart Canada spoiled several big E3 announcements such as Rage 2 and Borderlands 3? Even Sega and Sumo Digital fell victim to this when Team Sonic Racing was leaked via Walmart, which prompted a very hastily put together announcement package from the two companies. So that's one example of why companies don't just drop an announcement suddenly without any build-up. They have to work with others so they're ready to go live along with an announcement. It all helps with the promotion of a game. There's a similar thing with preview and review embargoes, and whilst some people do think this is often done to hide flaws if a game is bad, and I'm under no doubt that that does happen quite a lot, most of the time an embargo is tied to part of the promotional campaign itself. If suddenly lots of media outlets are suddenly talking about your game, you can have a new trailer ready to help capitalize on the excitement and potential sales from that trailer. You've probably noticed that a lot of companies tend to publish a launch trailer shortly before or just after a review embargo lifts. Some of you may now be thinking, why haven't Sega already done this, working with retailers and not just announced something? After all, it can't be that hard for a retailer to prep an item in a database. Well, the truth is, they probably have already contacted and liaised with various retailers all over the world. But there's other factors that go into a marketing campaign and strategy as well that you need to consider. With titles such as Sonic and other big popular titles, there's often other supporting media and campaigns that work in conjunction with Sega's game announcement. A couple of examples of this are obvious. Sega works with Jakks Pacific, who produce toys based on the Sonic line. They also work with Numskull Designs to produce other Sega and Sonic merchandise. And don't forget IDW, who currently have the Sonic comic license. Sega will have to work and liaise with these companies in order to present and pitch the direction that they're taking Sonic or any game franchise. And if these companies are interested, they would then have to pitch their ideas back and forth until an approval was eventually given. A classic example of this would be Archie Comics, who would regularly get briefings on whatever the newest Sonic game was going to be before it was announced. That way they could come up with ideas for a comic adaptation, pitch that to Sega, and if that got approval, that would be part of the promotional campaign. I'm under no doubt that they've done the same with IDW, hence the Team Sonic Racing comic book short that got released a couple of years ago. So for a franchise as big and as popular as Sonic, if you want supporting partners to help drive hype and excitement towards the brand, it's never a good idea to just announce out of nowhere a brand new game, or in rare cases, release a game if your supporting partners are just not ready or are completely unprepared for it. Your supporting partners are going to help you drive more sales and potential fans towards your brand. And when it comes to supporting merchandise, especially toys, things become a lot more problematic. While Sega will do deals with toy manufacturers, they need to give the toy manufacturers the right amount of time to manufacture not only the prototypes, but also the approval of those prototypes. On top of that, the toy manufacturers then need time to do their own deals and negotiations with the various toy stores in order to get those products in a shop. It's in Sega's best interest in the long run to give these manufacturers the time to do this. And with toy makers, there's a very specific timescale that they work with. Most toy announcements are done at the start of a year. Everything is shown and often released within that specific year that it's first shown. Toy retailers will only place orders for sale based on several key factors, including what is popular, what is in season, and how much support the product is likely to receive from the manufacturer and license holder post-launch. By the what in season, what I mean is, imagine for a moment Sega announced a new Sonic game but failed to do any product tie-in launches until after the game was already out. Toy stores would be quite reluctant to take a large order of said products, because by the time the toys were ready, the majority of people are no longer playing the main game that they're supposed to be promoting. It means less sales in the long run, and there's a lot less potential marketing that a retailer can do to try and sell the toys. An actual situation like this happened when Sonic Boom was released. Now, it's true that the game wasn't very good, but the cartoon and the comic book was quite successful. The problem was that most places in the world didn't get the cartoon until months after the game was released, but everywhere got the game and the toys. But why would anybody buy the Sonic Boom toys out of die-hard Sonic fans when there was no good supporting media for it outside of the United States and France? It didn't make any sense. And this is something that did actually used to happen quite a lot with Sonic. Remember when Jazzwares used to be the master toy partner? They didn't release Sonic toys in Europe until sometimes an entire year had passed after their initial debut in the United States. Thankfully, Tomy and Jakks Pacific have more or less resolved this problem. Now the delay is normally 1 or 2 months. And another huge factor that you have to consider, which Sega is very conscious about, is the risk of leaks. When it comes to partnerships with toy manufacturers and other physical products, they can't give those companies too much lead time due to the risk of leaks. This happens a lot with movies and video games, and it can often be offset by just a small period of time, such as a month or 2. But sometimes entire games and sometimes entire movies can be spoilt by a mistake on behalf of a partner. A big example of this would be what actually happened with a past Sonic game, Sonic Generations. You might remember how Jazzwares were going all out to support both Sonic's 20th anniversary and Sonic Generations, to the point where they had a direct toy line based on characters and stages from that game. And whilst Generations had been announced, Jazzwares managed to spoil several big plot reveals and surprises from the game, such as the inclusion of Crisis City and even the fact that classic and modern Super Sonic would appear in the final stage. A similar situation happened with the Sonic movie. Listings popped up at various retailers for a Baby Sonic plush. Sure enough, Baby Sonic is revealed in the next movie trailer. So when you're promoting a game with product tie-ins, it's an incredible balancing act given the restrictions the toy manufacturers are under and secrecy around the actual game. But what if there were no product tie-ins? Why not just announce a video game, if it's been a long time since the last one? So this is where we get into some major deep psychology surrounding customer spending habits, but needless to say, any large company like Sega is going to have a marketing department which has done their research into both their products and their customer base.
In a nutshell, marketing is about making sure that the right product is readily available to your potential customers at the right price, in the right outlets, and at the right time. Yes, that's a lot of rights.
They'll know when a customer is likely to order a product and when they'll also have the cash to spend money on that product. And this is really significant information when it comes to entertainment media such as video games and films. A big title isn't likely to be announced or released in January or even early February. The reason being is that most people, at least at a subconscious level, have an attitude in January of saving money and spending a lot less. And this is seen very well in the movie industry. A lot of terrible films tend to get released in January, to the point in which it's kind of a running joke with cinema buffs. In fact, Red Letter Media has a series on their channel called That. And for gaming, it's a very similar situation. It's rare for very big games to see a release in the January period, a policy which seems to also extend to video game announcements. It's very rare that big games are actually announced at the start of the year. And yes, I'm sure you can find some exceptions to that rule, but in the majority of cases, new games are not really announced in January. With so many people overspending over Christmas, if you announce a new product in January, people are going to be reluctant to pre-order because subconsciously they feel that money is very tight. Even if the product isn't going to be out for several months, that's the initial reaction a lot of people have. I can't afford this, so I'm not going to pre-order it. So for a large video game company like Sega, they're going to have people employed to research customer spending habits, and they'll also research when is the best time to announce a specific product.
Right product, right price, right outlets, right time.
Do you think it's a coincidence that most Sonic games are normally teased or fully announced around the middle to late springtime, and then eventually released around late October to early December within that same year? I'm willing to bet that based on Sega's marketing research, that's the period of time they feel it's best to announce and eventually release a new Sonic game without your prospective audience feeling bored from lack of updates to the new game, or worse, being oversaturated with news regarding the product to the point where they actually get put off by it. Yeah, it sounds oxymoronic, but this does actually happen. Too much of a good thing can actually be bad. So why therefore didn't Sega do anything with Sonic in 2020? Well, wait a second, they did do stuff in 2020. Okay, so there wasn't a great big new video game, but it's not like they didn't do anything with the Sonic brand. IDW was still publishing the Sonic comic, the Sonic live streams were still being held in Sega of America, and some of them actually had special guests on who took questions from fans. Virtually every month in 2020, both the UK and US Sega shop had new Sonic merch in it. Jakks Pacific released multiple new waves of Sonic toy lines. Over in Japan, they started a new Sonic livestream show which had a new announcement in every single episode, such as details on new merchandise, music albums, and other digital events that were being held, despite the fact that the Japanese government had imposed a very strict COVID-19 lockdown policy which lasted in Japan for a period of 3 to 4 months. And let's not forget that they did tease what the 30th anniversary for Sonic would involve when they released this press release which teased new comic adaptations of classic Sonic games, a merchandise line including action figures, books and various other media. And this was despite the fact that Sega repeatedly said in 2020 that that year was going to focus on Sega's 60th anniversary and that Sonic wouldn't be the primary focus because 2021 was Sonic's 30th anniversary. And what a year it was for Sega in 2020. They had an insane catalogue of games released that year as well as new hardware, and for fans they even released some very fun free minigames on Steam, as well as some crazy deals around some of their current franchises such as Yakuza and Persona. But why didn't they give Sonic as much attention? Because they're smart enough to know that they shouldn't oversaturate the market. Imagine for just a moment if Sega did go crazy with Sonic releases, Sonic news and Sonic announcements in 2020, and then they immediately go into 2021 for Sonic's 30th anniversary and more or less do it all again. Oh yeah, that's going to be great for die-hard Sonic fans, but for everybody else? They're going to get pretty sick of it. I bet even some Sonic fans would probably get a bit sick of Sonic if for 2 years on the trot he was the absolute main focus of Sega when they have so many other amazing franchises and games in development. And there's countless examples I can give of game companies which oversaturated the market to the point where they actually destroyed it. Activision and EA with their yearly Call of Duty and Battlefield launches? How about Konami's Silent Hill Month of Madness, which was a complete and utter disaster, although there was actually a lot of other things that went wrong with that plan. Remember the Toys to Life craze, which looked absolutely unstoppable? It oversaturated the market so much that customers grew tired of it, and you don't even see those games or even the toys in video game store anymore. Those of you with longer memories, you might remember a similar thing happening with Guitar Hero. Even games which are still getting support years after launch, such as Star Trek Online and Grand Theft Auto Online, they only give their players 1 or 2 significant content boosts per year because they don't want to risk oversaturation and players becoming bored of those games. And we've also seen this with Sonic in a small way and how it can harm the brand in terms of both quality and oversaturation with audiences getting bored. Remember how during the mid-2000s and into the 2010s, we sometimes had multiple Sonic games per year, and one title would always get a lack of support or just be completely ignored by the fans and sometimes even Sega themselves. Unless, of course, you all out there secretly played the Sonic Rivals series, which were surprisingly fun and very competent, and I'm the only one that wasn't invited to the meeting where you all agreed to never ever discuss them. There you go, there's a recommendation. Get the Sonic Rival games, they're really fun. And a similar situation happened with Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. How many of us bothered with the handheld versions, compared to the console and PC editions at least? So I'm not that surprised that Sonic didn't get such a huge focus in 2020, when in 2021, and definitely going into the early parts of 2022, Sonic is going to be the main focus for Sega. If Sega had given Sonic a massive spotlight in 2020, that's potentially 3 years where Sega would have been constantly going on about Sonic, spread out with sporadic updates, instead of a clear, defined plan that says, this is where we're starting and it's gonna go on for 1 year of Sonic celebrations. Remember that Simpsons episode where Bart gets the monkey's paw and wishes that the Simpsons were rich and famous, and eventually everybody gets sick and tired of them? Yeah, that actually happens with brands that oversaturate themselves. But let's finally address the big scary elephant in the room, which is often used as the reason why Sega hasn't shown much in terms of exciting Sonic news. COVID-19. So the following is absolutely 100% true. Sega of Japan, America and Europe were all closed and operated a work from home policy for several months, and that policy is still in effect today at both Sega of America and Sega of Europe for the vast majority of their employed staff. It absolutely has had an impact over Sega's announcements and plans during 2020, and will have certainly changed Sega's plans for Sonic's 30th anniversary and other announcements for 2021 and even 2022. But in terms of last year, and with relation to Sonic, I think the impact on what they would have announced would have been extremely minimal. At the very most, I think there would have been a very small Sonic fan convention held at Tokyo Joypolis at the end of last year with a small tease as to what the next Sonic game would be. Similar in scope to the fan conventions which are held at Tokyo Joypolis every year in December. There were also a few hints that for Sega's 60th anniversary last year, there were going to be some physical events, which obviously didn't happen. It's likely that there could have been some teases for future Sonic content at these events, but remember when I said that Sega's marketing and PR department would have already done their research into consumer behaviour and already know the best time to announce a game?
Right product, right price, right outlets, right time.
Even without the delays on video games, which I've no doubt have definitely occurred, a new Sonic title was always going to be announced in 2021. 2020 was never going to be the year for a new Sonic game announcement. And that's the main point of this. As well as having their own set of professionals who have been working at the company itself directly for years, Sega also has professional marketing companies who work for them, and they're directly employed with them, and it's their literal paid job to get inside the mindset of consumers in order to know when and how they should create and launch a marketing strategy. In fact, last December, Sega announced that they'd partnered with Retail Monster, who are literally experts in marketing strategies for retail, specifically to work on Sonic's 30th anniversary in Europe. But please, if you happen to be a paid professional who has years of actual experience marketing and launching successful marketing campaigns across multiple forms of media with a proven track record of growth, by all means, feel free to correct me on what I got wrong. So anyway, this went on for far longer than I anticipated, and in all honesty there is a lot of points that I could make, and a lot more that could be said, such as how games like Cyberpunk, as big of a disaster as that game turned out to be upon release, that game ended up being a bit of a joke in the gaming community during its development, with the constant delays and drip feed of news over a period of years, unless of course you weren't one of the people that were constantly laughing and taking the mick every time you saw this yellow announcement square. You don't want to announce something too soon and keep leading your audience on, because no matter how good the end product is, it'll always feel lacking in some way. Just ask Dark Souls 2. But the bottom line is, like I said at the start, they've not announced a new Sonic game yet, because in terms of when they plan to release it, they're just not ready to announce a new Sonic game yet. See you next time. Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out this episode of Badnik Mechanic. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to hit that like, subscribe and the bell notification button. If you'd like to support the channel and the work I do further, please consider joining my Patreon, like these amazing people did. Ali Dexy, Ben Malski, Dave Morley, Kenny Newbury, Mark Davies, Mavis Stevenson, Mohammed Khan, Mr. Retro Geek, Niemand, Rusty Coolpix, Starling Usher 2, That's Gamer, The Wax, and Tybot Renux. Without their amazing help, I wouldn't be able to keep making videos like this, so if you'd like to join them and support the channel directly, links to do so are in the video description. Otherwise, please just share this video with others, which is also a huge help to supporting the work I do. But most of all, just thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you again next time.
Thank you, Mushi.